everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Ryan Pennant from QWare, and I'll be showing you how to remove duplicates and improve overall data quality by implementing a data governance framework. Now, the presentation will be under 30 minutes, so we will get you back to your day here pretty quick. Also, there will be a recording of the webinar made available for your convenience. Sound good? All right, well, without further ado, let's jump in here then. Now, before we dive into data governance and the quality and what have you, just it's here a few moments here to give you a little background on QWare. We've got over 25 years of experience as a CRM partner, both implementing and supporting different CRM platforms. That includes Microsoft Dynamics, Infor CRM, and Sage CRM. An ISV for Microsoft and Infor, and we are the creators of Paribus 365, which is quality management that provides enhanced fuzzy searching, duplicate detection and prevention, duplicate data cleansing in bulk, and more, all while ultimately improving the user experience. So enough about us. Let's explore data governance to help you improve your data quality. So for today's agenda, we will be covering the importance of having quality data, including understanding the cost of duplicates and poor data quality in general, the effects on user efficiency, decisions, and of course, customer service, and also the impact on AI, which today is obviously extremely important. We will explore why you should use a data governance framework and also explore how to get started implementing and maintaining a data governance program. And finally, I will cover some tools to help you guys improve and maintain your data quality. All right. So data, we all know how important it is, right? That's why we're all here. But good data is imperative, as this quote from Gartner's Ted Friedman expresses, I think, very well. And Ted says, data is useful, but highly quality, well understood, auditable data is priceless. And I could not agree more. So let's begin with understanding the costs of poor data quality, starting with the cost of having duplicates in your system. So first off, one of the biggest costs of having duplicates is duplicate marketing material. Now, CRM systems can have thousands, even tens of thousands of duplicate records. We've seen it all here at QWare. Now, imagine the additional costs that you might incur sending emails or printing and sending postcards, flyers, or catalogs, and now multiply that by the number of marketing campaigns you might be running per year. It can be staggering. And then, of course, there is the lack of a single customer view, which has consequences both to the user and the customer. Now imagine a customer, maybe Bob Smith, calls me to confirm his order information. So I do a quick search in CRM and I'm presented with the following. Now, how do I effectively help him without going through each of these to review his history? It's frustrating for me and of course for Mr. Smith, and it's really inefficient. And another issue is regulations like Europe's GDPR, California CPA. All these regulations today have something that's called the right to be forgotten. Right, so it's really tough to do when maybe I delete these, but maybe Bob Smith is spelled differently in other ways and I don't catch those, right? So I'm not really complying with the law. And of course, ultimately, duplicates can have a negative impact on brand reputation, right? Sending duplicate emails equates to spamming your customers and prospects, so you're not going to be very popular. And then, of course, consider the inefficiency and lack of productivity associated with duplicates, right? Needlessly searching through those duplicates is just a huge time waster, right? And of course, lowers the user's confidence in your system. And then ultimately, all this data ends up with inaccurate reporting, right? All right, now let's discuss the adverse effects that poor data can have on AI, right? So we all know that AI tools like Microsoft Copilot are very powerful and can be real game changers these days, right? Everything's AI these days, and for a good reason, right? So Copilot's predictive analytics can be used, for example, to analyze historical data to predict purchasing behavior or trends of your customers based on their recent data. Examples include records like orders, leads, support contracts, cases, those types of things. And then Copilot can also perform what's called sentiment analysis, right? And this is a very powerful feature that can scan activities from a call or users' notes perhaps regarding customer interactions and provide you with their sentiments regarding things like recent orders they've placed or product evaluations and so forth, right? But of course, if the data is not accurate, because you have a lot of duplicates, all of this goes out the window. And then, of course, there's lead scoring. AI can score leads based on engagement level and purchase intent. But again, duplicate leads will skew the forecasting of your pipeline projections, right? And of course, if your data is not clean and of the highest quality, then using AI may lead to poor decisions, which obviously can negatively impact the bottom line and basically your business as a whole, okay? All right, so I want to go over just kind of a brief overview of what the causes of duplicates and poor data quality are in general. First off, of course, users. Some 50% of duplicates come from users, whether it's entering data, they're not verifying if it already exists, that type of thing. And then another cause, of course, imports. So data added via acquisitions or purchase lists is just often not cleaned or compared to the existing data before being imported into CRM, which of course leads to a bunch of duplicates again, right? And then of course, under defined guidelines in general, right? So if there are poor data guidelines for things like, import rules, data entry, merging and deactivating records, form design, and just so much, your data quality will be impacted. And then when processes are not well defined, like workflows or how to report data quality issues experienced by users and their day-to-day usage of it, and who to report these data quality issues and just so much more, these things will contribute again to poor data quality. And then integrations. If you have integrations between systems, syncing data between the front office and back office, this can lead to all sorts of data quality issues and of course duplicates as well. All right, so those are some of the causes of poor quality data, and we've kind of gone over how they could impact the business as well. But let's discuss how to clean it and really set up a system to maintain your data, maintain a data governance framework, okay? So what is data governance? Well, it is composed of rules, processes, and accountability, allowing an organization to better manage the availability, usability, security, and integrity of their data. All right. Ultimately, I look at it as kind of an accountability framework, if you will. Now, let's talk about why you need data governance. First off, security, right? Now, this could, of course, be security internal and external, right? From an internal standpoint, it's going to cover things like who has access to the data, whether it's within or across departments, who might have merging capabilities, and just so much more. And in external security, of course, protection from data breaches, right? That's probably the number one. And if, God forbid, you have a breach, how do you handle it? Of course, you have to maintain compliance with government regulations, right? Legislation, again, like GDPR in Europe, California CP, and then now some 17 additional states have also passed similar data regulation, and these things can carry significant fines. For example, with GDPR, fines can range anywhere from 2 to 4% of your annual revenue, or 10 to $20 million, whichever is more. That's crazy. Now, California fines can range anywhere from $2,500 to $75,000 per violation. So it's really important to have a system to ensure compliance with these regulations, right? Also, you will want to avoid inconsistent data silos, right? So this can consist of, sales numbers differing across systems, and of course, this again due to poor integration rules, those types of things. Also, you could have sales figures that differ between ERP and the sales system. You could also have sales and marketing teams that might have different definitions of what a customer or a prospect is, right? Because you haven't got those guidelines down. And because you have these multiple systems too, so ultimately sales forecasts may be inaccurate as a result. Okay, continuing on why you need data governance, obviously, as discussed earlier, right, improve data quality, right? Having data governance in place will ensure proper guidelines are followed, You're not going to have, duplicates across the system, incomplete data. It's of course going to hopefully prevent things like poor decisions due to this. And of course, a much more efficient system is going to come, right? You'll have just a much more efficient system front to back, right? So for example, no constant deduping, no security or integration issues, no constant whack-a-mole, right? So you're going to save countless hours, which means less work for IT. You can move your skilled staff to other important areas that need attention, not wasting them on these types of things. And of course, ultimately, users will be more efficient, right? No duplicates. You'll have a single customer view. You won't see all those Bob Smiths. It's going to be easy to navigate the CRM system and just fast data entry, right? And of course, this will ensure consistency across all of your data, giving you guys a single source of the truth, right? For orders, for products, for contacts and accounts and whatnot. And of course, across all your systems like sales, ERP, support, marketing, it covers it all right? All right, now that you know why you need a data governance framework, let's go over how you might implement one. Now, starting with the different roles that go into data governance, right? First, the main data governance role that you're going to want to establish is what's called the Data Governance Council. Now, this is made up from members across the organization, right? Representing different areas of expertise, if you will, okay? Now, the Data Governance Council will set the strategic goals and direction of the program. They also will make decisions regarding subjects such as data quality standards. They will determine processes and policies of your data governance program in general. They'll determine the architecture and systems involved. They will approve tools and services needed to maintain data governance, and of course, ensure legal compliance as well. So that's the Data Governance Council. That's the first one. Well, actually, it'll be the second one. I lied a little bit. We'll talk about that in a sec. Continuing on the roles, the executive level sponsor, super important because they are going to secure buy-in from other groups, right? They're going to make sure that people are on board. This is going to be a C-level member, right? And because of that, they're also going to be the representative of your data governance program to other executives, right? They're going to report to everybody to say, hey, this is how things are going down below, all right? And of course, they're going to provide overall guidance to the Data Governance Council and all of its team members. You also have the Data Governance Administrator, okay? Now, they're the face of the data governance program. They're the kind of the go-to person, right? They also are the ones that form the Data Governance Council. That's why I said, though the Data Governance Council is typically your first role, actually this guy, the data or gal, will be the beginning of it all, right? Because they're going to put together a team that will comprise the Data Governance Council. And the Data Governance Administrator will facilitate meetings, deliver info to the team, drive initiatives that are basically important to your organization. The next one of the most, if not the most important, is the face of the data governance program, and that is the data steward, okay? These are the day-to-day caretakers of the system. I liken them to the police, right? They enforce your data governance policies. They enforce the law, okay? They also define how access is provided to data amongst the different teams and your different systems. They define the metrics and enforce changes across all the departments. If you are a larger organization, you actually might have different types of data stewards. For example, you might have a business data steward that understands all the business processes of your organization. And then you might have system data stewards, right? That understand the different systems and how they communicate, whether it be finance, sales, marketing, that type of thing. Now, if you're a smaller organization, you're just going to have one data steward typically, okay? And then another role, the consumers, of course, right? These are the daily users of the data, right? They're the front line. So if there's any issues, they're basically your canary in the coal mine, right? They're, of course, going to report any issues that they run into the data. And so we really want to create a feedback loop between the data stewards and the consumers to ensure basically that these issues are being handled timely, okay? For example, if there's any dupes or if the reports or dashboards are missing key data points, the consumers need to tell the data stewards so that basically your guidelines are kicked in, they know what to do, and things get moving and get resolved. Now, main thing here is you really want to think about how you can help the consumers do their job best, right? Giving them reliable, accurate, complete, and ultimately timely data. All right, so let's talk about, now that we've finished the roles, drafting what's called the data governance. Okay, now it's going to define things like the purpose. So why does the data governance program even exist? And what areas does it aim to help? Now, an example of a stated purpose might be something like, the data governance job is to provide oversight of the data assets to ensure consistency and compliance and to keep customer data safe, right? So that's your purpose that you'll want to basically have defined. Also, as part of the data governance charter, we of course want to include a scope, right? What determines the systems and processes that are to be governed, right? For example, your scope might declare the Data Governance Council will have authority over all customer data and approval of any new systems or maintaining customer data, okay? You're also going to want to signify the members and their responsibilities, right? So who are the members? And of course, summarize any responsibilities of the Data Governance Council members, okay? For example, who will ensure data integrity across the systems, or who will approve new data processing systems, who will report to the executive team about security breaches, those types of things, right? That's all going to be part of the Data Governance Charter. And of course, measurement. You will want to establish how to measure the effectiveness of your data governance program, identifying any key metrics used to measure performance, right? That's just super important because, as we know, what's measured basically gets done, okay? So, all right, moving on. So that's your charter. Let's review some of the approaches to implementing a data governance program that you might use. These are really dependent on the size of your organization. So for example, a larger organization might use something what we'll just call the standard approach, right? So during the standard approach, right, you're going to review existing systems. You're going to reuse whatever exists and fill in any gaps in terms of how you're going to apply guidelines. You're going to build your data governance charter and then assign, of course, people best suited for the necessary roles. You're going to create your written policies and procedures and obviously make that very accessible so that everybody knows where to find these things, right? You're going to train your users and, of course, track and measure compliance. Now, that's the standard approach, which is typical for most medium to large size companies. For smaller organizations, you're probably going to use more of a passive approach, okay? So in this case, no major changes. We're not shaking up the world, if you will. No major new policies. We're really going to look at your overall plan that you have today, how you deal with the different things, and you're going to fill in any gaps that are missing, right? There's not going to be any new formal titles, right? Just additional roles to existing staff members, okay? You're going to use existing documentation, just formalize some existing policies and procedures, right? For example, database access or merge rules, you're going to basically maybe define those further, but otherwise nothing really new. You want to provide, of course, written policies where people can find them and add only if missing policies are not there. Also, you want to add meetings about data governance, right? Start getting those going and making sure those are part of your, your weekly or monthly, whatever it makes sense for you as a smaller company. Basically laying a foundation, right? Adding these processes in slowly so that it's not a shock and people don't feel overwhelmed, but ultimately building and building so that you in fact have a data governance program, whether you're small or large, right? And you really want to maybe start in one area, right? So for example, tackle the executive dashboards, right? Review your dashboards and any key metrics and put them on paper, then share them with the users to discuss how to improve them, right? So just review how data is being collected for these metrics and apply any changes, right? So that's the passive approach. Let's talk about maintaining your newly deployed data governance. So you got everything up and running, you've got your data governance council, right? You've got your charter, you're off and running, right? And you just want to make sure things continue to hum, right? So we want to maintain that healthy data governance ecosystem. You want to, of course, have created your documentation outlining those roles, responsibilities, and process. That way, when you're onboarding new people, people leave, they can just jump right on in, and you have a plan to get people up to speed, right? It should be really easy to digest for new users. You want to make it, again, accessible and just update it as necessary. It's just a living, breathing thing that we're going to take care of in terms of documentation. Now, of course, onboarding any new systems, right? We want to ensure the data governance standards are applied, right? Especially, for example, when you're adding new vendors or new systems, right? Send these new vendors maybe a data security questionnaire when vetting any of these vendors, right? What are they going to do with your data, right? Perhaps maybe your marketing department subscribes to, an email marketing program, right? You need rules to ensure that your data is going to be handled properly. And then, of course, for offboarding or retiring older systems, same kind of thing, right? You're ending a vendor relationship. Are they ensuring that your data is purged from their systems? What steps are they taking to determine this? And how can you be secure that your data has been secured? All right. And then the final point on maintaining data governance is the importance of establishing an ongoing data governance council meeting cadence, okay? So this is not a project, guys. It is an ongoing program and should be treated as such, right? So you want to meet regularly to discuss your goals, your issues, how's adoption going, anything that really needs to be discussed to keep things running smoothly, right? You want to document how the council communicates any changes to the users and, of course, to the key players and their roles, right? And then, of course, metrics, right? By measuring how data governance is helping each department make progress towards their goals, you can articulate the value in terms that they can understand, right? Make it something that is relatable to them, and they'll stay on board, right? Now, let's discuss some of the tools that's going to help you achieve that initial data cleanup and, of course, help you maintain it as part of your overall data governance program. Okay, first, we're going to cover cleansing duplicates from your data, right? As mentioned, many organizations have hundreds or thousands of duplicates, so you're going to want to have a tool that will clean in bulk, okay? In addition to bulk cleansing, right, if permitted by your security policies, users can also play a part by merging when they encounter the dupes. And, because they know the data best, and they can make decisions whether records are truly duplicates or not. So the IT department doesn't have to be responsible because often they don't want to be, quite frankly. Also, understand any limitations that the out-of-the-box tools that you have in your CRM system, whichever CRM system you may have, right? These can vary from CRM system to CRM system. So for example, most will allow you to merge in bulk to some degree, but their fuzzy matching capabilities might be limited, perhaps non-existent. And since they're not dedicated duplicate cleansing solutions, they are not very user-friendly often, and sometimes they're missing advanced features like reviewing duplicates before merging, right? So you got to just be careful of those types of things, right? Now, there are third-party solutions, and if you're considering this route, I would look for a solution that does offer fuzzy matching on multiple fields, not just the main fields, that have no record limits, right? They're highly configurable, and also that they don't charge by the number of matches or merges, right? You really want unlimited match and merge, and will consolidate duplicates to restore that single customer view. Now, if you guys are using Dynamics 365 or Infor CRM, I would offer that maybe you should consider Paribus 365. It does offer these aforementioned features, okay? All right, let's talk about next duplicate prevention. So obviously, once your data is clean, you're going to want to include some type of prevention tools to act as that data quality firewall going forward, right? So you're going to want to have tools that offer prevention when adding new records, right? One that ideally detects a possible match before the user enters much data. And also when you're on an existing record, that it alerts the users if there's a possible duplicate, right? AKA what's called detection, to be sure you're engaged with that correct record, contact, lead, what have you, right? Think of that Bob Smith example we talked about earlier. And of course, any prevention detection should be fuzzy. to all variations of the person's name or an account, not just exact matches. Now, if available, enable your CRM system's built-in duplicate detection. Most of them have something, although I've seen some that were pretty bad. Most CRM systems obviously will alert you when adding a potential duplicate, but typically maybe not be that fuzzy, but unfortunately, be sure that users, because they often will look at these things, they become white noise after a while, they may actually ignore them and just continue on. And a lot of the tools will just allow them to add it if they, whether they reviewed it or not. So just keep that in mind, right? So keeping users aware of these things and on task will help keep duplicates out of the system when they're adding records. And one thing that you can do, again, as part of your guidelines and your training that we talked about as part of your overall data governance, is ensure users search before adding records, right? So just make sure they're following your policies. And again, consider some third-party options here. But be sure any solution that you choose has fuzzy detection when adding records, as well as when you're on a record. Be sure that you're engaged with that correct Bob Smith, if you will. Again, if you're using Dynamics, Paribus 365 will do those types of things. All right. Other very helpful tools for maintaining high quality data include third-party address management tools. So these things will ensure that the address data is high quality and up to date. Obviously, these tools will autofill address fields so that when a user types in the first few characters in address line 1, for example, it will autofill the rest of it. They don't have to worry about city, state, zip, address line 2, any of that stuff. Put in a few things will pop up and go, oh, you mean this? Boom. I think most of us have seen that before. It'll autofill everything. And of course, that's going to save users tons of time from having to enter that data manually, right? And of course, ultimately, you're going to have accurate data that's up to date because the third-party vendors ensure the data is the latest and the greatest. And of course, it ensures consistent formatting, right? You don't have to worry about, no city or zip code or weird stuff in address line 1 or 2, right? Some examples of vendors that offer these types of tools, Smarty's one, it's a big one, Sub, and Informatica, and of course, there are many others. All right, another type of tool you can use to improve your data quality are third-party data enrichment and validation tools, which will help ensure that your data is just not stale, right? We want to keep things, especially when people move around, especially after COVID, we saw a lot of that, right? So these tools can really improve the accuracy and scope of your data. They will update missing, incomplete, or invalid data. And these tools can enhance your customer data to include things like demographic, behavioral, or other important organizational data that you can really use to help target sales data, right? Can really improve all of that, really help conversion rates as well. Some examples of this, some of the big players, ZoomInfo, Crunchbase, Clearbit, and again, there's many others out there, okay, depending on your budget and what type of integration you want. And well, that wraps up the presentation. So hope you guys learned something valuable today. In summary, we covered understanding the costs of poor data quality, the effects on customer and user experience, obviously the impacts on AI and how important that is these days, and of course, the decisions about your business that you may be making potentially on poor quality data. We talked about the importance of data governance, how to deploy a data governance framework, and of course, tools for maintaining your data quality. All right, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them now in the questions pane here. And if you're interested in our data governance white paper, or if you want to learn more about Paribus 365, including setting up a free trial, please reach out to me directly using the information that's provided here below. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for your time and hope you guys have a great rest of your day.